It was supposed to be a regular day at the school in Okut. The sun was up, the weather fine, and the students were streaming into the premises, each with their own bundle of teenage energy and classroom complaints. But in one corner of the school compound stood a girl who was known not just by her name but by her reputation. Her name was Kasara. Everyone knew Kasara, not because she was the smartest, or the most beautiful, or even the friendliest. No, Kasara was popular because she was the most stubborn, most feared, and most untouchable student in the school. Even some of the teachers tread carefully around her. If trouble had a uniform and wore braids, it would be Kasara. Today, however, something unusual was about to happen. Miss Juliana, the new teacher transferred from a school in Osogbo, stepped into her first class as S2B, holding a register and wearing a confident smile. She had heard about Kasara, of course. All the staff whispered her name like it was a curse. But Miss Juliana wasn't like the other teachers. She believed in structure. She believed in rules. Most importantly, she believed no student, no matter how notorious, could be above correction. "Good morning, class," she greeted cheerfully. "Good morning, Ma," the class chorused back, half-heartedly, except one voice was missing. Kasara. She was seated at the back of the classroom, gum in her mouth, earphones hidden beneath her braids, legs crossed like a boss in a boardroom. She didn't even glance at the teacher. Miss Juliana's eyes found her. Calmly, she walked toward her. "Excuse me, young lady," she said, standing in front of Kasara's desk. "I'd like you to remove those earphones, sit properly, and show some respect." The entire class froze. Was this woman brave or just foolish? Kasara looked up slowly, her expression unreadable. "You day talk to me." Miss Juliana nodded. "Yes, you. What's your name?" "Kasara." "Kasara, I expect you to follow the same rules as everyone else. No gum, no earphones, and no disrespect. If you have a problem with that, we can discuss it in the principal's office." The silence in the room thickened. This had never happened before. Kasara leaned back, a wicked smile playing on her lips. "You know, go last for this school, auntie. Dem go soon transfer you." But Miss Juliana didn't flinch. She wrote something in her register, then turned back to the board and began the lesson. The war had begun, and this time, Kasara may have finally met her match. By the next day, word had spread across the school. SS2B was no longer just another class, it had become a battlefield. Kasara didn't like being embarrassed, especially not in front of her classmates. It had never happened before, and she certainly wasn't going to let it slide. During break, she strutted into the staff room like she owned the place, chewing gum loudly. The teachers turned in shock as she walked straight to Miss Juliana's table. "Auntie, you day right my name for register. Abi, no more wahala, but make I just warn you this class nah my own since. Anybody way try form Jagabon day collect." Miss Juliana closed her register gently and looked up. "Kasara, I am not your enemy. I came to teach, not to fight you. But I will not tolerate nonsense in my class. Go back to your seat." For a moment, there was a staring contest. Then Kasara smirked and walked out, but not before knocking over a pile of books on a nearby table. The rest of the day, the atmosphere in SS2B was tense. Miss Juliana continued teaching as though nothing had happened, but she knew it was far from over. Kasara was brewing something. The girl had too much pride, too much street fire in her eyes to let this go easily. The real drama came the next week. It was Monday morning, and the students of SS2B were assembled for a surprise quiz Miss Juliana had prepared. Everyone groaned, except a few books. But Kasara was late. She walked in 10 minutes after the bell, wearing sunglasses and holding a meat pie like it was her entrance pass. She dropped into her seat without a word. Miss Juliana looked at her calmly. "Kasara, you're late. That's 10 marks off, and you'll take your quiz outside." A stunned silence. Kasara laughed. "Nah joke, you day joke. You want carry me commit for class." "For my own class." Miss Juliana didn't flinch. "Step outside now, or go to the principal." There was a long pause. Kasara stood slowly, staring at the teacher. Then she picked her bag, kicked her chair, and walked out of the class. That day, she didn't return, not even for the next. Rumors began to spread. Some said she'd been suspended. Others said she was plotting something bigger. But one thing was clear: Kasara was not going to back down. Miss Juliana, meanwhile, taught the class with an air of quiet strength. She didn't celebrate Kasara's absence, but she also didn't let fear guide her steps. But everyone knew the storm hadn't passed. It was just gathering more power. Kasara returned on Wednesday. The school gateman said she arrived like a movie scene, dark shades, braids packed like a crown, escorted by 2 girls from SS3 who rarely talked to anyone. She strutted into SS2B like she had just come from a music video shoot. The classroom went silent. Miss Juliana looked up from the board. "Welcome back, Kasara. Do you have an excuse letter for your absence?" Kasara dropped her bag loudly. "No letter. I was taking mental health break. This school day stress person." Some students chuckled. Miss Juliana didn't. "Then go to the principal and explain it." Kasara stood tall. "I know they go anywhere. If you want carry me go. But me, I know they waka." That moment felt like 2 storms colliding. One girl from the back muttered, "Ah, this one go trend." Phones were secretly recording. Miss Juliana calmly walked to the door and opened it. "Kasara, kindly leave my class." Kasara turned to her classmates, arms wide. "Una day cam, person come school, teacher day, chase am like thief." But no waha. All of Una way day clap for her, make Una continue. Go reach Una." She stormed out again, but this time, she wasn't alone. 3 of her loyal friends walked out with her. That day, they sat under the mango tree at the back of the school, planning. "This woman no fear face, she won disgrace Kasara of all people. I swear, we go show her Peppa," one of the girls hissed. Kasara just smiled. "Make she no day teach that class again. Nah wetin, I want. She'll go resign by force. She'll never see Wahala." By Thursday, graffiti appeared on the staff room wall. "Which teacher, go home." The next day, Miss Juliana's tires were deflated. The school erupted into chaos. Parents were called. Teachers were whispering. The principal summoned both Kasara and Miss Juliana. But still, Miss Juliana didn't quit. Instead, she stood before the entire SS2B and said, "I am here because I care, not because I am weak. And until someone removes me officially, I will teach this class with dignity." Some students clapped. Others looked down, guilty. Even Kasara, who was listening from outside, paused. That the battle wasn't over, but, for the first time, something shifted in the air. By Monday, Kasara was back in class, but something in her had changed. She didn't come with fanfare. No dramatic entrance, no shades, just her and her backpack. Miss Juliana glanced at her briefly, then continued teaching, as though nothing happened. The class was unusually quiet, waiting for another eruption. But none came. Kasara sat at the back, chewing gum slowly, her eyes fixed on Miss Juliana. It wasn't defiance, it was calculation. At break time, Kasara didn't sit with her usual crew. She stayed in class, flipping through the literature textbook. "Cost you day all right?" her friend whispered. She shrugged. I just day observe." But Kasara wasn't observing out of boredom. She was trying to figure something out. Miss Juliana had withstood insults, pranks, and sabotage but still hadn't cracked. What kind of woman was this? By Thursday, another surprise landed on everyone's lap. Miss Juliana started after-class sessions, free tutorials for anyone preparing for WAEC. Nobody expected students to attend, but they did. At first, only 2, then 6. By the following week, nearly half the class was staying behind to learn. Even Kasara noticed the difference. Students who used to laugh at Miss Juliana's firm style were now sitting straighter in class, taking notes. Some of Kasara's own loyal girls were whispering things like, "That woman, Sabi teacher. My brother even talks say she day teach like uni lecturer." Kasara's pride stung. But more than that, she felt confused. One afternoon, she lingered at the back door, listening in on the extra class. Miss Juliana saw her but said nothing. Instead, she continued, "To be great in life, you must choose your battles. Not every fight is worth the energy. Win the war that matters." Kasara swallowed hard. It felt like the woman was speaking directly to her. That evening, for the first time, Kasara opened her notebook and began to write furiously. Not gossip, not lyrics, just thoughts. "I don't know who I am fighting anymore. Is it her, or is it something inside me?" Monday came like a ticking clock. Everyone waited, some with excitement, some with dread. Would Kasara return? And if she did, what version of her would walk through the gate? By 9 a.m., the answer arrived. Kasara stepped into the school compound wearing her uniform properly for the first time in years. No jewelry, no noise, just her, alone. Whispers erupted. Some mocked her, others admired the boldness of coming back at all. But what truly shocked everyone was when she walked into Miss Juliana's class, greeted her politely, and sat quietly in the second row. Miss Juliana looked up, surprised, then gave a small nod and continued teaching. For the first time, Kasara took notes, real notes. She even asked a question politely. The entire class held their breath. Was this surrender, a trick, or something else? During lunch, some of her former crew approached her. "Coz, what's this? You turning nerd?" She looked at them.com. "I'm just tired of losing to someone who doesn't even fight dirty." They laughed, unsure if it was sarcasm or truth. Later that week, during a heated debate in class, Miss Juliana asked, "What defines strength?" A few hands rose. Then Kasara stood. "Strength is choosing not to hit back, even when you can." The class went silent. Miss Juliana smiled, not in triumph, but in respect. After class, she walked up to Kasara. "I heard you've been helping some juniors with their assignments." Kasara shrugged. "Figured if I'm going to be here, I might as well stop being useless." Miss Juliana extended her hand. "Thank you." Kasara looked at it for a second, then shook it. Outside, the mango tree swayed gently like it, too, had witnessed a shift. By the second week, the school halls had grown quieter, not out of fear, but something else. Balance. A storm had passed, and now students moved through the corridors, as though testing new ground. Kasara wasn't a saint, but she was no longer the thundercloud over everyone's head. She sat with different people now, sometimes alone, sometimes with a quiet group of juniors who idolized her without understanding why. She didn't laugh as loudly. She didn't bark commands. She listened, but change always comes at a cost. One afternoon, Miss Juliana found a small envelope taped to her desk. Inside was a note in different handwriting. "You think you've won, but queens don't fall, they wait." No signature, no hint, just the cold echo of warning. Miss Juliana folded the note carefully. She didn't go to the principal this time. Instead, she slipped it into her drawer and locked it. The next day, a desk was found overturned in SS3's classroom. No names, no clues, just a broken leg and a smear of red marker on the wall. "Watch her." That evening, Kasara stayed back after school. She waited until all the students were gone, then knocked on Miss Juliana's office. "I heard about the desk," she said plainly. Miss Juliana looked up, and Kasara hesitated. Then, "I know it wasn't me, but I also know what it feels like to be blamed just because of reputation." A pause. "Do you want to help me, Kasara?" Miss Juliana asked softly. Kasara nodded. "I do, but don't expect me to be perfect." Miss Juliana smiled. "I don't want perfect. I want honest." The deal was sealed. That week, Kasara began helping with classroom duties, quietly, voluntarily. The same students who feared her now watched her stack books, mark attendance, and even silence rowdy classmates. Some believed it was strategy. Others said it was guilt. But for the first time, people saw something more: courage dressed in humility. Still, in the far corners of the school, old loyalties whispered, and not everyone was ready to let go of the legend that Kasara had been. Outside, the mango tree stood, still waiting, watching, as if it, too, sensed that peace is never permanent. A week passed. The seat at the back of the classroom remained empty. Some students had started to miss the chaos. Others secretly admitted that the peace was uncomfortable. They had grown used to the tension. On Monday, Kasara returned. She didn't strut this time. She walked in quietly, in her uniform, hair tied back neatly, no makeup, just a book in her hand and a strange calm in her eyes. Miss Juliana looked up. "Welcome back, Kasara." Kasara paused. "Thank you, Ma." Gasps echoed in the classroom. Eyes widened, heads turned. Miss Juliana continued the lesson as if nothing unusual had happened. Throughout the week, Kasara listened. She didn't talk, unless asked. She even took notes. By Friday, she raised her hand to answer a question. She got it right. The class clapped in disbelief. After class, Kasara waited until everyone had left. She walked up to Miss Juliana. "I thought you were weak," she said. "And now?" Miss Juliana asked gently. "I think you're stronger than me." Miss Juliana smiled. "No, just different. Fire doesn't always fight fire. Sometimes, grace wins." Kasara blinked, swallowed hard, and nodded. Then she turned and walked away. Outside, under the same mango tree that had once shaded her mischief, she sat alone. This time, not as a queen in rebellion but as a student learning her place in the world. The wind whispered through the branches, and for once Kasara listened.